Rolling.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. We got a bunch of good, eclectic guests today. But before I start, some of the topics we're going to cover today is Lampard. Did he get fired yesterday or did he die? Because it felt like from all the tributes that he passed, coaches were talking about how good he was as a player and as a coach. And I'm like, wait a minute, did he get fired or what the hell happened? We're going to talk about his replacement. We're going to talk about what's going to happen to the players who remain at Chelsea. Man City surging, Man United. West Ham is fourth. A lot of crazy stuff. Ibra and Lukaku almost go to blows. We got to cover it all. But first, if you're watching this podcast, like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to watch, it's at Ian Edwards on YouTube or Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. And also, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Libsyn, or at allthingscomedy.com. And if you go to allthingscomedy.com, we have some of the funniest comics in the world who have podcasts there. Bert Kreischer has a podcast there. Bill Burr has a podcast there. Bill Burr and Bert Kreischer have a podcast together. Ron Funches has a podcast there. Mike Young, Tom Papa, Breaking Bread. Just the list goes on. Rosebud Baker, Devil's Advocate. So, and my podcast is there. Maz Jabrani's podcast is there. So, and there's a bunch of names I didn't name, but go to allthingscomedy.com and do your own research and check out all these dope-ass podcasts. And the sponsor for the show is onthevolleyapparel.com. And if you go to onthevolleyapparel.com, there's tees, tanks, hoodies, jerseys, and hats for men and women. Use my promo code ComicRant and you get 20% off at onthevolleyapparel.com. Just lace yourself. They got some dope stuff there at the site. Go to the site, look at the pictures, pick out what you want. They can also outfit your local soccer team. And let's get into the crew who's here today. Like I said, the shit is eclectic. We have Coach Gerald. He's a guy was in the Arsenal's Youth Academy and has his own podcast on YouTube. I've been on his podcast. He's been on this podcast before. What up, Gerald? And you're wearing your Arsenal shirt?
Had to today, man. Thanks for having me on again. We've been doing well. So I got to wear it.
I think I had you on when it was bad, so I have you on now that it's going good. Yeah. And then we have Marius Heesless. Did I say the last name right? Marius?
No, man, you said both wrong again.
Marius, right?
It's Marius.
Marius. God damn it. You know what? Every time I look at your face, Marius sounds so black. And when I look at you, it can't be Marius. I try to say it as white as the letters will allow me to say it, but it's as black as I think it is. Marius. Yeah. What up, Marius? And Marius was in the West Ham youth system. He's a goalkeeper. He's supposed to be in the German league right now. And you're going to tell us what team, but right now you're stuck because of quarantine in Atlanta, and you're working out with the Atlanta's goalkeeping coach, staying in shape. So that's dope to have you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and then we got Neil Chakrabarti, comic from San Diego by way of India, and devout Chelsea fan, and he's wearing his black today in what do they call that? In mourning of Coach Lampard, and you hear it looks like you've been crying in it.
No, I'm so glad we didn't do this yesterday, because it wasn't just the news, but then the news broke at like close to 3:30 a.m. San Diego time, and I just happened to be awake. I saw it and couldn't get any sleep after. So yeah, not as groggy today.
So you were kind of like destroyed. You liked Frank Lampard being there as your coach.
I definitely like Frank Lampard, and I also I'm a little disillusioned with what this means, because I thought on the face of it, being a Chelsea fan, shouldn't really be surprised by any manager getting sacked. But I thought after a long time there was a certain plan moving towards a long-term project, and I thought that if at all anything has to happen, be at the end of the season. You know, when we have a full season to review, the fact that just pull the plug right now is a bit of a shock.
Anybody here think the plug was pulled too early?
There's an argument to be made.
What's yours, Marius?
The guy I've been training with, the academy coach at Atlanta, the goalie coach, he's a huge Chelsea fan, and we're similar in age. So like we grew up watching like Gerrard for Liverpool, Lampard for Chelsea. You know, like Ali was a little bit older generation for United, but those coaches like those players getting their shot to become coaches, and you think like, well, when Ale went down the road, like we talked last time, and he was losing games, we didn't fire him. And so he's like really angry at the board for like getting rid of Lampard so easily. And, you know, they still have Champions League coming up next month. So I don't know. I think it was a little early. I would have let him stay till the end of the year or till it really got bad. But I didn't think it was that bad.
What do you think, Arsenal, Gerald?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I agree with you. The amount of people that were coming out like to say it's the end of the world or something like that because you know Lampard's left. However, it's not nice to see someone get sacked from a job. But for me personally, I think it was too early for him to get that sort of stature of a job. Anyway, he didn't prove himself last season when he did get the job. There was hardly any pressure for him to deliver because of the fact that he had the transfer embargo on him. And then this season, you know, spending 200 million plus on players, you have to perform a lot better. You know, we've got Arsenal we're eighth now. We didn't spend 200 million. Do you know what I mean? I had to throw that in there.
I see that.
We've been 15th. We've been down in the dumps. So, but yeah, no, for me personally, I feel like as a young coach, I feel you do need some more time. But when you're in a club like Chelsea and you're spending 200 plus million, it's got to be better than that. Do you know what I mean? And especially when you lose the dressing room, you know, there's rumors of him losing the dressing room and things like that. You know, it's hard to get the players back on board. And I think, you know, Tuchel, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's someone that's, you know, as an experienced manager, been there, done it, managed the biggest players in the world, Neymar, Mbappe, you know, him going into that Chelsea side with the likes of Havertz and Werner, I think he's going to get the best out of them. And I think he's got more experience, you know, handling a big squad. You know, Lampard's still got a long way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was too early too. I would have given him more of a chance. I don't know if it's a nostalgic thing based on what Marius was saying. Like I grew up watching those guys too, but I know how Chelsea rolls.
Yeah.
So it was always a possibility. You know, like you sign the ink on the contract and you leave your hand there, and there's a guillotine hanging above your hand
For sure.
to chop your hand off before the ink dries if you don't start getting results over there. So yeah, it happened, but it was also a situation earlier in our season, right, where when our coach wasn't doing good, and I wanted them to give Solskjaer a chance, which is funny because I spoke to Martin, right, to just rub in the fact that Man United is top of the league. You know what I mean? And, you know, because he deserves it and he's a Spurs fan. And then he's like, no, I thought you said you wanted Solskjaer fired earlier during the year. I'm like, what are you talking? I never said that, bro. So he's trying to take away all the credit of, you know, because if I don't want Lampard fired, why would I want Solskjaer fired? It doesn't make sense. I feel like Solskjaer is like learning, and so is Lampard. And I know it's a high level to be learning at, but if you're really good, you'll figure it out in the amount of time to do something to save your job. So I think that's what Solskjaer is doing right now. But I do think it's a little early.
Bro, sorry, but come end of the season or come the end of Solskjaer's, you know, reign as a Manchester United manager, and he didn't win a trophy or anything like that, would you be happy with that?
This is why I'd be happy. I'd be happy, right, if they gave him the chance to do it, and if he did it. And then if he didn't do it and they gave him the chance to do it, it's like breaking up with someone, right? Say you have a girlfriend. I don't want to break up with a girl and be like, did I give this enough of a chance? So then if I'm with somebody else, I'm always thinking that. I want to know, it wouldn't have worked. You know what I mean? I want to know for sure and that this relationship should be over. So I wasn't sure if the relationship with Solskjaer should have been over. So I was down to like ride it out some more. Plus, there's the variables of we didn't have a team when he got there. And you have to get a team together. Then you have to get to make the guys start playing together. Then you have to come up with a system. And then you have to add more players to that. It's like, and we needed at least 3 transfer windows to get on level with the other teams who are ahead of us. And then I could see also that Solskjaer was turning players into better players. Like Fred started playing better. And then they brought Greenwood in, and then you see Brandon Williams come in, and then you, especially when it's academy players, and Rashford is playing better, and then they get Bruno Fernandes, and I know that we didn't get Sancho, and we needed Sancho, so it's like, are we gonna fire the guy, even though it all falls on his shoulders after the transfer window closes? Everybody forgets how much we needed Sancho and that we didn't get him, and Solskjaer has to get the results anyway, which thankfully he did. But
so far. Let's wait end of the season.
Right. I mean, if he ends up getting fired, it means they gave him a chance.
Yeah.
And Solskjaer was not the most notable coach in the world, so I feel like he's built us a better base. And if we fired him in the future, we just get a better coach to add to the base that we already have. So I feel like regardless, he put us in a better position. So I'd be happy.
I agree. Fair enough.
Neil, go
I
ahead.
just want to make one point. Yeah, I think Jel, what you mentioned about him getting the job a little too early, I think that's completely fair. But I feel like at that point, Chelsea as a club were at a situation where nobody really wanted that job. Because we had a transfer ban, we had our best player leaving. Like, he wasn't just the best player in every team has a best player, right? But this is a guy who was contributing to over 50% of our Premier League goals. So, and you're not able to replace him. So that was a job at that point. I remember the articles that came out around that time, from sources close to the club. This wasn't really a job that anybody really wanted, because you're literally on the clock and all your resources have been taken away from you. So they went in the route of getting somebody like Lampard, Jody Morris's deputy, that setup of people, Joe Edwards, folks who worked with the academy. So they know a lot of these kids who, now these are the only people you can use, right? Because you don't have, you have some senior players, like we had Pedro, Willie and Giroud hanging around, but they're they're kind of on the other side of the playing curve, right? So they went with it. They would have known the fact that this guy has no experience, has very little experience, and is going to go through a rough patch. So they should have accounted for that. I think he exceeded his remit on like 3 or 4 different fronts in the first season. And because he did that, the other thing it allowed us to do was actually go and get some of these really, players that a lot of clubs around Europe wanted, because if we didn't have Champions League football, they wouldn't have come to us. So I feel even like, right now, he's laid out a good base in terms of personnel. Chelsea needed an overhaul since 2012. We've been putting Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. And, therefore you'll see a lot of Chelsea seasons, up one season, down the other. But I feel like right now we finally have a collection of individuals who can last 5 to 10 years, which we had under, when Mourinho was here the first time. So, it's not going to be Lampard who's going to see the end of this project, but hopefully somebody else will.
Can I say something in favor of the people who fired Lampard's defense? I feel like Lampard is one of Chelsea's favorite sons. And I feel like after last season, when he did good with the transfer ban, I feel like they tried to give him the best chance to win by papering, you talk about band-aids, by band-aiding his lack of coaching experience, by buying him really good players to compensate for that until he could get better at coaching. And then it was his job to meet that, but it was too soon to meet that. And then that thing that they hired as a safety net, like, as a matter of fact, it's the thing that made him fall at the end. Maybe. What do you guys? I'm gonna get to. What do you guys? Marius, what do you think of Tuchel?
I don't know too much about him, to be fair. I don't watch much of the French leagues, so I don't know too much of his track record. But I will speak on one thing with kind of like the Band-Aid situation at Chelsea. And you were speaking about McTominay and players like Fred, who are just kind of role players that aren't really explosive, like Bruno or Pogba, or making big things in the midfield. You look at the academy programs of the last few years. You look at guys like, Reece. You look at Abraham up top, and they've been like very, very prominent components to the Chelsea lineup. Yeah. I mean, Azpilicueta has been on the bench for a while now because there's a younger, stronger, faster, and hungrier player playing in his position. And I think it's the same thing going on at United. Like you were saying, you got Scott McTominay, the younger players. Luke Shaw's a little bit older, but he was struggling, and he's kind of found his footing on that left side. You got Wan-Bissaka, he's younger, but he was he was expensive, but he was over at Palace, not doing all that much on, like a radar for a national team. And now he's one of the best players in the Prem, in my opinion, on the outside fullback position. So I think the younger players, especially guys like Greenwood, have come through the academy, and that hasn't even been something that Ole or Lampard did. That wasn't it wasn't a purchase they made in one of the transfer windows. It was just an academy product, just like Ole and just like Lampard were for their respective clubs growing up. They weren't like big stars like Ronaldo was in Portugal or Messi was in Argentina that were bought and flew over to England. They came up through the system like hard workers, like the Foden guy. He's come up through the ranks, and now he's like doing amazing things. Jack Grealish, players like that are entering their 20s now that have come through so it shows how well the academy has done over the years. But those players are the ones that are kind of like lifting the team up every now and then. And it wasn't players like Azpilicueta or Pedro or older players that are supposed to carry the locker room. It's been the younger players in their 20s that have been carrying the teams, especially like Greenwood finished last year with like 16 goals or 17 goals or something. And that's unheard of he was 18, turned 19 last year. So Abraham too, to his credit at Chelsea. And like we said, I'm not a fan, but those younger guys have really helped our younger coaches even hold their jobs as long as they did.
But not in this case.
Right. Not at Chelsea.
Also, I think one critical difference is something Chelsea has always lacked is, at least if you look at United, they've always had a pathway for a few academy players to get in every now and then, right? Chelsea never had that pathway because, we had these transported coaches all the time. And even though all throughout the 2010s, we've had really good academy teams, we've had academy teams which I think won 5 FA Youth Cups in a row, which hasn't happened since the 60s when the Busby Babes did it for United, and went in really high, won the UEFA Youth League a couple of times. But all those players right now, like they're in different leagues playing for different teams, and we are not really able to use them. We had a great loan army, like players like De Bruyne and Mohamed Salah, who Chelsea never had a manager who, would give these guys when they need a little bit of game time and be okay with their mistakes. We never had a manager who would give somebody like these guys time. So I think that'll be his lasting legacy, that he finally was that manager who broke down those gates. And now you see like there are like 5 or 6 of them, and there's like more coming in.
Despite that, he didn't save Chelsea any money. they just took the money.
No, he did.
He did, but then
I'll show you how he did. Because we spent we spent 240 million, and this figure gets thrown around a lot as if it's something very unique. It's actually not. Like Antonio Conte and Maurizio Sarri came very close to those numbers too. It's just that you would never remember those.
But in longer than how long did
No.
Sarri
Conte was
last?
there for 2 seasons,
and they won things as well. Don't forget that.
But if you look at those players, because they never wanted to use any of the younger players and the loan players, so if you have to fill up 10 to 12 spots, they went ahead and bought the entire 10 to 12. Which is why all those players are like 30 million worth players who are never really that good. What Lampard did was, the Bakayokos of the world, the Drinkwaters of the world, the Zappacosta's of the world. Zappacosta cost us 30 million, just a shade under what Hakim Ziyech's cost us. So what I'm trying to say is that because we are using a lot of these academy players now we can focus those same funds more on quality than on quantity. And that's a saving when you're spending the same amount of money. You don't want to buy for squad depth because you already have those players. You have, in fact, better players. It's just that previous managers were blind towards it.
I get it. Go ahead.
I think Gerald can attest to this. Like Ian introduced you earlier, you were coaching at a big club in London in the youth program growing up. When I was at West Ham, like West Ham, you mentioned Ian's in 4th place right now. We're playing them in FA Cup in the next round, but like West Ham is more or less known to be like a hard fighting team that is kind of mid-table, lower table, and they spent some years in the championship. When I was there from like 2008 to 2012, a lot of the guys on like the 20s and the 23s were still getting called up to England. Like they were big time players. And what West Ham would do is they would build these academy products with such great youth systems and then sell them for big money, sell them for 20, 30 million. And that's how they were able to buy big players like Andy Carroll. And they were able to bring in like a Fabianski and able to bring in a coach like Zola, like we were talking about before the podcast. But for like someone, like you said, Neil, like someone like Chelsea, not really necessarily known for bringing guys up through the academy, and Man United more than Chelsea, but you think about lower mid-level clubs like Crystal Palace, and you think about West Ham United, Southampton. Those are the teams that are like really working on their 18s and their 20s and 23s to sell a Van Dijk or to sell, a Wan-Bissaka or somebody like of that stature for 30, 40, 50, 60 million. And then they can buy like 6 players with that money. So to see like the guys in Chelsea come through and save the team more or less over the last few months in this season I wouldn't even say was Lampard's doing. It was just the academy system.
Or the cheating of Chelsea that forced that when they got banned.
Exactly.
So honesty, a fine made you use your youth. Like
Bertrand Traore, that's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy because of whom we have the transfer ban. He's getting goals almost every weekend now. Yeah,
for Villa. For Aston Villa.
Traore.
Oh yeah. He just scored. I think he just scored against I forgot who. I'll look at the thing.
They played. Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. So we played him and we played him in a game. I think when he was like 17 or 18. And there's a contention between what's an official game for which you have to register somebody to play him as a trialist versus something that's not an official game. So the FA has a different definition versus UEFA, and that's where apparently Chelsea made a few fell foul.
He just scored against Newcastle. So Gerald, what do you think? Who are the players at Chelsea you think are going to benefit from Tuchel, or you don't care?
No. To be honest with you, first and foremost, I'm a football fan, and I love seeing young coaches develop as well. Like I said earlier on, I don't like to see coaches like Lampard getting sacked and things like that, because I think we're getting to an era where these young coaches need more time. However, like I said earlier on, it's hard to get time, especially at a big club like Chelsea. But in terms of who's going to benefit from him, like Marius definitely said, the young players are definitely going to benefit, especially the likes of Ziyech, and of course Havertz and Werner. You know, the whole German connection, and Tuchel is a manager that's inventive. He's a creative manager. He's always willing to learn. I think he's got strong connections with like Pep Guardiola as well. Reading Pep's books and things like that. He spoke about Tuchel that, you know, he rates him highly as a young coach coming through. So he's definitely got the attributes to become a top manager. However, again, once you sign for Chelsea, like you said, on that dotted line, you got 18 months.
The clock's turning.
Yeah, the clock's turning. If you're not delivering. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. You know what I mean? We've seen it. We've seen them do it to their own manager who brought the most success, like Mourinho. Do you know what I mean? So from time you can do it to Mourinho who brought you the most success, then, you know, anything's possible. So, but no, the young players, I think they should be excited to have someone like Tuchel coming in, and especially him working with like the biggest young player in the world, Mbappe. So he knows how to deal with the young players for sure.
Neil, who do you think is going to benefit, Neil? And who's not going to benefit from it?
I think I was looking at his track record and also the kind of way some of his teams play. I know for a fact that he wanted to sign both Rudiger and Jorginho when he was at PSG.
Oh, shit.
And these two folks have not been starters.
Players you hate.
For good reason, in my opinion. But maybe there's something there. I feel Pulisic will definitely, he's the guy who gave Pulisic a shot at Dortmund when he was playing for the age level teams. So I think he'll benefit. I have a feeling Hudson-Odoi is going to benefit because a lot of similarities with Ousmane Dembele, who he got probably his best years out of. I feel Mount might benefit because, you know, the whole philosophy of the German gegenpressing, the Ralf Rangnick school of philosophy, these guys, a lot of these German coaches are coming from counter-pressing. Mount's probably tailor-made for that. On the flip side, those I feel might have a little bit of an issue would be somebody like Tammy Abraham. Because I'll be very surprised if he uses actually two out-and-out strikers as a top two. I think if he uses a top two, it'd probably be Werner and Havertz. I think Billy Gilmore, probably not the most physical player for such a system. He might, you have to take a step back. I mean, that's what I can think.
What about
Kepa?
Right now.
Kepa. So this is the very interesting thing that came out in the report yesterday.
Suppose he switches
completely like that. I think I was on the edge and that pushed me.
Suppose this is how you know you signed the wrong coach. Thanks for your service, Mendy. Kepa, get it.
Oh my God, like that pushed me over the edge. So, I mean, of course, like this is all, we are reading reports from journalists. And you often know, like when something like this happens, there's like a lot of agendas from either side. People have their own sources they feed to. But I mean, these are journalists who are known to have, you know, credible sources within the team. So apparently Kepa was one among a few senior players who had complained that Lampard hasn't given out clear tactical instructions, which to me is just bizarre. Like, you know, with like the amount of chances Lampard gave Kepa, and in terms of tactical instruction, I guess like the only remit was to just like stop the ball. Like the kind of mistakes he's made are unprecedented. We are not talking about, like, you know, a lot of players I don't like, but they're like average players. And that's, I feel that's fine. You know, sometimes you have good days and bad days. Kepa is historically poor. Like he's in the bottom 5 of all-time Premier League goalkeepers on every metric. So for somebody like that to even have a say at a board level or like, you know, have some sort of influence is like, I don't know where we are going right now.
Why would a board listen to Kepa after they've seen him play? But they paid money for him, so it's so weird.
No, to protect his transfer fee, right? Like probably because the flip side to that is
how can you protect How can you protect the transfer fee of someone who, even though their team beat Luton, he let a goal in that he should have saved?
Yeah.
Well, on the
What do you think about that, Marius?
Marius,
Sorry,
I want to hear. Yeah.
Marius,
So-
you do a better job of protecting goalkeepers than Kepa does of protecting his goal.
we always get on this, man, because Kevin's still struggling. Every time we talk, he's still struggling. He's been struggling for a while. So,
and I'll be rooting for him, bro.
I mean, me too, because like when I played my 2.5 years in Spain, I learned that style of play. I think I'm not sure of his like attributes, like physically wise, but I might just be a little bit taller than him. I'm not like De Gea size. So I've like looked at the way that he played after the World Cup era, like 2018. And he's a good goalkeeper. And it's like, it gets to the point as a goalkeeper where I'm in a completely different state than him right now. Like I've been training almost for a year now. Like our last game was March of 2020, and then lockdown, then back to Germany, new contract, then no games, then lockdown again. But for Kepa, it's been like every opportunity he gets, he makes a mistake where it's a simple technical save where he bends his knee and it doesn't go past his right knee or his right hand, like the goal against Luton or whatever. Like he makes that save in training. But it's like a confidence thing, but it can't be a confidence thing for over a year. It can't be a good day and a bad day for over a year. And I think with seniority, I think he's 25 or 26. Like, I mean, I don't know if
he's not super young. Yeah.
Right. He's not super young, but he's also not like, Neuer. He's not 34. Right. He hasn't won a World Cup and a Champions League. So you look at like how much they paid for him a few years ago. And you needed somebody to come in and cover Courtois. You needed somebody to take over that because Chelsea's like one of the biggest clubs in the world. And you need a guy who can be one of the biggest goalkeepers in the world. And that's why we always bring up this conversation too about De Gea. It's like De Gea is one of the biggest goalkeepers in the world, but when he makes a simple mistake like that, you look at and you're like, well, if we don't play him, that's 250,000 pounds a week on the bench. And if you don't play Kepa, I don't know how much he's on, but it's probably really close to De Gea's weekly salary.
192,
Yeah. So if you're not playing Kepa and Mendy's injured and you got Czech, he's training down the street, like it becomes like we have to listen to this guy based on politics and based on salary. And if we don't listen to him, then we have to get rid of him. And
but you have to know why you're listening to him. Like
it's only money. It's money and politics because it's obviously not performance in the field.
This is so weird, man. To have a goalkeeper, right, that costs more than Luton Town. you feel me?
Did you see Real Madrid lose to Alicante about a week ago? I played against that team 2 years ago in Segunda B, which is third division in Spain. And they are like a hard grinding team with a bunch of, that's a professional league, whatever you want to call it. Those guys have played like Segunda A, or some of them played at first division when they were younger. But the goalkeeper for that team is 41 years old. And he has been grinding in third and fourth division his entire career. He makes good money. He lives in a small town. They probably give him free housing. But that guy he just beat Real Madrid. Why is he not making 120 or 192,000 pounds a week? He just beat Real Madrid and Kepa can barely keep the ball. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if Kepa's doing that once a week out of the year or out of the season,
or a game,
you can overlook it. But it's been every time he plays, he does something where you scratch your head and you're like, how is he still doing this? Why haven't they figured this out in training? Why didn't he get? It's like a sports psychologist, like, does he need to leave Chelsea? And why is he calling shots in the boardroom about tactics? It's like, it's because of his money and his position with the Spanish national team and his connections, his agency. He might be connected to other players in the team. It's more than just on the field. It's when you get to that level, it's way more than what's going on in the field.
Politics, yeah.
And Ian, you mentioned that why would somebody do that? I mean, it's not just a football club board that make these mistakes. Like, this is a classic classic flaw in economics called sunken cost, where you spend good money on something and it's not working out. You then spend more money. Instead of cutting your losses and retrieving, you spend more money in the hope that this is what gamblers do at 2 a.m. when they've lost the boat and they should just go home, but they sit back for that other round, and they hope that more money can fix the issue when it can't.
And what's the term for it?
Sunken cost.
Sunken cost, and that's sunken cost applies
the sunken cost fallacy
applies to regular relationships.
Yeah.
So much time into this. Let me put more time into this. I can't lose the time that I've already put into this. Let me put more time into this.
The left-handed reaction save that he made in the second half, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Was like it's so hard to do that so close at the speed the ball is coming. And the goal that he let in, I don't know if it's I don't want to say it's a Spanish thing because De Gea does it too, but it's like, what is going on with like them? De Gea is saving the ball top corner or kicking his leg out to save it from going in, and then it's going through his legs. Or I mean,
well, let me ask you a question: Is it harder to save shots closer to the body?
I think a lot of stuff that I've been working on and a lot of stuff that I've noticed over the last years in the top divisions, most of the goals are getting scored on cutbacks and crosses where the shot is coming close to you from like the 6 or the penalty spot or 16 yards out. And if you're not meeting the ball in the ball line to like close the space, there's no way you're going to be able to react to the pace and get it in the corner. And so when the ball's like outside of the box and the guy rips it up for 90, De Gea is going to full spread and save it. And, Kepa is even very agile and he's made great saves like that too. But when the ball's in the box and they cut it back and the guy hits a slow roller to the corner, it's just all about positioning at that point and footwork. And I think that's where the confidence comes in to know, like, if I get myself in a good position, I can save this without even catching it. I can just block it and push it wide and we clear it and we move up. But these guys are like, you can't have such a bad spell for so long and make 192,000 pounds a week, man. Like I will give my heart to Chelsea and never wear a Man United jersey again if they want to pay me even 1% of that to play for them, So
hey man, just don't blaspheme. Don't blaspheme.
It's just
you'll be a clear upgrade. I've never seen you goalkeep, but I'm pretty sure you'll be a clear upgrade.
It's just tough to watch. Like you said, Gerald, you're a fan, of all football. And like, I'm still a fan too, even though I've been a pro for like 3-4 years now. Like, I always thought like, man, if I ever grow up and play, am I going to watch Sports Center if I'm ever on it? Like, yeah, all my buddies that play like in the NFL, they all watch like ESPN. They love watching Sky Sports, like everybody's still a fan. If they're telling you they're not, then they don't love the game,
For sure.
So it's just tough to see that happen. Like, it's like, come on, I know he can say that and he knows it too. So it's really hard to watch.
Let me ask just Gerald one question about the same question about the goals close to the body. I don't know, what are you, an offensive coach, midfield coach, defensive coach, overall coach, or attacking coach? Where do you recommend players shoot?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm an overall coach anyway. But yeah, just outside of the D, that's always going to be the most dangerous part, to shoot. Like Marius said as well, the cutbacks, we see more and more of that happening now, where players go down to the byline and just cut it back, because it's kind of like the easiest way to kind of score at the moment, because teams are so compact these days. Usually, a lot of goals
go down to the goal line.
Yeah, and then cut back the ball, for the
it's like
players.
a cross,
which is like that's all Barcelona used to do.
Yes,
right.
Pep, and he still does that at Man City now. You could see a lot of the goals go through that sort of play, But yeah, outside of the D, it's becoming a lot more congested because teams are so compact. So you want to go down to the sides and try and spread the defense and shift them from one way, and then maybe switch it and attack them from the other way. So yeah, it's difficult work. But I mean, in terms of Kepa, going back to him, I feel like not just him. Once you sign that big contract, because he was at Atletico Bilbao, I believe, before he moved to Chelsea. He definitely wasn't on that sort of money. Once you get that money, it is a different ball game now we're talking about. We've seen it now, even with Aubameyang. Now he's got his big contract. He's not the same. since he was, when he was before, when he was in a smaller contract. Well, I say smaller contract, he's still in a good contract, but you know what I mean? He wasn't on the 250 or 200, whatever he's on now at the moment. So I feel like, that comes into play where you just kind of lose that hunger a little bit. Football's changed. It's not the same as it was back in the days where, players want to win things. I'm not saying that there isn't players that want to win things, but it's just, it's become more, financial. Can I get money? Because football's a short career. You're lucky to get 10 years out of football. So you want to try and get as much money as you can. I'm not saying he's just done it just because of the money, but there becomes a point where you become financially stable and you kind of lose a love for the game. And it becomes a job afterwards. You turn up every day just because it's your job. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, hopefully Kepa's saving his money better than he's saving shots.
Yeah.
Well, we got to run through this because time is going. So I just want to get to the other topics. Enough about Chelsea and those losers.
Way too much on Chelsea.
And their drama and their instability. And so one thing I was looking at, well, maybe this is next. Let me so Man City I'm going to ask you guys your opinion on Man City. My opinion on Man City is it's the team I fear the most right now. When I look at Man City, there is danger everywhere. I look at Phil Foden, danger. Marius, danger.
Gundogan,
danger. Gundogan has presented himself as a new form of danger. Rodrigo, danger. Is it Cancelo? Cancelo, danger. Yeah. And then you're not even going into the old names like De Bruyne, danger. Sterling, danger. It's like,
please stop. Please.
Like, what team?
Please
team? You see what I'm saying? And I miss some people. There's no team in the league that got this much danger on the fucking field at the same time. Like, so what do you?
And there's no
Aguero. Won today. So what?
And there's no Aguero as well. Don't forget that.
No Aguero. I didn't even mention Gabriel Jesus. I didn't even mention Gabriel Jesus as a piece of danger. So my thing is, I fear them. They won 5-0 today. They finished that game. They said, hey, man, we just going to play this first. We're going to play the whole game in one half today. Go West Brom out, get this shit over with, and then just have a party in the second half. And so what, Marius, as a Man U fan, how you feel about Man City?
I'm looking up, was it this game against Birmingham? They were up, no.
They just played West Brom today.
Right. Yeah. It was Crystal Palace, maybe
a few games ago.
They were down 1-0 to Cheltenham.
No, it was this one. It was the FA Cup match against
Cheltenham.
Yeah, so I was watching that the other day, and they're losing in 59th minute. Cheltenham scores. I'm watching. I'm like, wow, what are they doing? They're really going to beat City, like this team that beat Madrid and the Copa del Rey. And I'm like, nope, here comes City again, breaking my heart. Man U's not even playing today. We beat Liverpool. Of course, we draw Liverpool, but I'm like, how do they do it over and over again? They score so many goals. They concede so little. They play so clean. They counterattack, they press, they outpossess, and they defend, and they don't make mistakes. And yes, Ian, they are the only team that I fear because we played Liverpool and we tied them 0-0, and we didn't have the possession, but we took it to them on Sunday and we won 3-2. We played a great game. We scored some great goals. So I don't think we can do that against City. I don't think we can. I mean, we lost 2-0 a few weeks ago, right? So I just like maybe City loses a crazy game like the Burnley-Liverpool earlier last week. Maybe they have a shocking 1-0 loss and we just continue to scrape by on points and we take the title. But if they don't slow down, they're going to win. Yeah, that's my prediction.
What do you think, Gerald?
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think this season there's not as much pressure for Man City to perform just because they're going through that transition. You know, the likes of David Silva's left, obviously Kompany's left, Aguero's he's just been injured consistently. Who else? The Yaya Toure obviously left a little while ago, but the core of the team, Kompany, I think the core of the team and the spine of the team is kind of gone and they're rebuilding again. And it's amazing to see just the likes of Bruno Diaz that came in. Is it
Ruben
Bruno?
Diaz.
Ruben Diaz, not Bruno, sorry. But yeah, Ruben Diaz, just come in and reassure the defense. I feel like this is kind of a different Man City that we're looking at, because I think they're more focusing more on the defensive side of the game rather than attacking. But again, the attacking players that they have, they don't even have a striker at the moment. They don't have a number 9. But Pep's done it before. We've seen him use Fabregas down the middle as a false 9 and used introverted wingers. And, Man City, for me personally, I just feel like Man City don't have the pressure to win the title. You got teams like Chelsea who spent so much money. Not to say Man City didn't spend money this season, but I just feel like they're in a transition, but you can never write off City. They're looking dangerous, especially when they're playing with freedom. They're unstoppable.
Yeah, they're definitely playing with freedom. I'm gonna.
They got the boy Zach Steffen from the U.S. out
from
there
the U.S.
in the goal
Yeah,
too.
Oh yeah. Do you know Zach?
I never trained with him. I think he's a 95 or 4. I never played with him with the youth national team, but I know people who have, and he's a beast. He's real athletic, and he's got great footwork too, like great passing.
And what about any of these? I mean, you're 24, you're young, but the kids in Germany, they might be younger than you. Did you run across any paths with them?
German national players?
No, the American players in the Bundesliga.
Oh, I met I was on trial at Sandhausen. They're in the second Bundesliga. And things fell through due to Corona as well. But before I signed it at with Mannheim, I was training at Sandhausen with the first team in the 23s. And a player on the 23s is from Canada, but he spent time with Toronto's youth system. And he knew a lot of the guys over there too that are like on Schalke. This guy Hop, who's been scoring recently. Yeah. And then you got Weston McKennie just transferred out, but he's in Italy now. But Germany's been like the new feeder system, like how England was when I was younger. Like Pulisic opened that huge door for all these Americans.
Reina as well. He's doing sick.
Reina as well.
Yeah.
So Martin, it's just crazy to see. Like this is the craziest thing to me. Martin, could you turn that off?
It's not me.
Whoever that was. This is crazy. That's a good. We have American players, right? Playing with Ronaldo, starting, not on the bench.
Yeah.
Starting with Ronaldo, right? Then we have American players playing with Messi, starting with Messi. That is just crazy. McKinnon is scoring like with goddamn and Arthur, who was playing at Barcelona, is on the fucking bench at Juventus because some American kid says, "Hey man, that's a nice spot. Let me have that shit." That is fucking unheard of and crazy.
It's crazy. They just had the 23s and the men's team just had camp down in Orlando. And I've been training with Jane Campbell. She's I think she's the number 2 for the U.S. women's team. She's from Atlanta, and I trained with her this morning. I'll train with her tomorrow while she's in town. But she was saying like all of the men that were down there, it's not like Pulisic obviously wasn't there, like McKennie, like all of our superstar young guys are still in Europe because they play August and May. All of them.
I know Josie Altidore is there. I'm seeing reports like Josie Altidore is having a good camp. I'm like, what? Josie Altidore?
It's all the old MLS guys. Not that they're not good, but our best talent for the next World Cup or whatever is in Europe playing and getting games every weekend with guys like Messi and Ronaldo. So.
Unable to train with the team. And I love that. That's a great sign of promise to come. My next question, and I guess Martin, you might be in a loud area because if you are, we might lose you. So I'm gonna ask you first and hear what your sound is like, and then if it's not, what do you think of? Like, I feel like Man United plays tomorrow. Yeah, it's gonna be too loud, Martin.
But the halftime starts in 2 minutes, so you can come back to me in 2 minutes.
All right.
I'm at the
Hawks game. Basketball noise in the background?
Game, yeah.
Are you watching
I'm at the Hawks game? No, I'm at the game. I'm at the game.
What?
Oh, really? Bro,
okay.
You gotta get me tickets.
Martin just wanted to see my face and see how sad I am. That's the only reason he made this
This is dedication to the soccer comic rant. Martin's at the Hawks game in Atlanta. You got to hook up with Marius afterwards because you're both in Atlanta.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah, we both are. That's
come to training tomorrow morning if you want.
Yeah, go down to training. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk. We'll talk.
All
right, cool. So I'm just gonna give you my feedback on Man United. I feel like
no, but I just want to say to what you guys were talking
wait till
about.
halftime. Wait till halftime.
Okay.
I don't know why Martin thinks halftime is going to be any quieter. Halftime is the noisiest part of the game. So good luck, bro.
Go ahead, bro.
So funny. I just want to say that as far as Man United is concerned, I feel like the football gods are shining on us. And some people want to be etiquetely correct and say, they don't hope for this. The popcorn guy just went by. Some people want to be like etiquetely correct when they say they don't pray for other teams to have injuries. But I don't pray either. But if you do have them, I'm not gonna whine.
Keep the door open. Yeah,
I'm not gonna whine. So De Bruyne is injured, which it doesn't even matter because goddamn Man City has so many other options right now. Martin, there's a guy behind you who's gonna kill you.
He's gonna get you.
Yeah. So then there's and Leicester, who's up there in the league, has Vardy's injured, and Liverpool has all their injury problems. They can't score and they're losing games. And so I feel like the football gods are trying to tell Man U, go for this. Even if you have to sacrifice like other type, like I know Solskjaer wants to win a trophy, right? But after we beat Liverpool, if there's a league game coming up where the next day you have an FA Cup game or an FA Cup game before a league game, I feel like the league game is more important because I don't think we're going to have Pogba next year, right?
No?
Really?
Yeah. So I feel we should go, and I just decided this before the podcast, we should go all league in because I feel it's going to be easier for us next year to win one of those cups because we're going to win a League Cup or a FA Cup. But to win the league this year, from where we already did half the work, we're here. I feel like we have to go all the fuck in right now because the gods are smiling us on the injuries on other people. Go ahead.
Also, you guys are Manchester United. Like, why would you bother yourself with a League Cup and an FA Cup? You'll get them anytime. You haven't won the league in 10 years.
Right.
That's your holy grail. That's where you want to get back to.
Right.
So if there is a chance, and there's more than a realistic chance now, because you guys are near the top and you have a squad that's working. Yeah, I mean, you should definitely go all in. Like, I don't think the kind of trophy cabinet Manchester United has, I don't even think a FA Cup or a League Cup makes a dent. So
right. Because you can win an FA Cup and get fired.
Yeah.
Like the next season. Yeah.
It doesn't help you.
So Marius, do you think we should go all in?
I think I'm sure Gerald feels the same way. Like with the system growing up, if you're like a starting 11 guy, like, and there's a third round cup or whatever, you don't play that game, like Bruno, he came in and changed the game and we won, but he didn't start, and it's guys like that you need 90 minutes from on Sunday away at Aston Villa or, at home to get at least a point against Leicester. It's like games like that where you can't be worried about even Europa League midweek. Like, honestly, like I think,
let it go.
I don't know if we're going to let it go, because like right now we're in second place by 1 point, right? 40 points behind City, but you're traditionally supposed to rest players on a midweek, third round, fourth round, fifth round, EFL, Carabao Cup, whatever it is. But we're almost past that stage, right? We're kind of like in the final stretch here entering February where, we're going to have knockout round for Europa League, and then we're going to have the West Ham game, and I think maybe one other cup, and that's it. So all the focus is already kind of on winning the title at this point. And those other games kind of have some magnitude towards them too. If we make it to the final, then we automatically are back in the Champions League, and it'd be nice to win Europa, but also probably still better to win the Prem. So I think the focus will be around the Prem, but I think it also is, we're at the part in the season. If you would ask me in the November podcast, I would have probably say, yeah, let's rest them for the fourth round and the third round of FA Cup. Let's rest them in the rest of group stage. You know, we've already got 13 points. We don't, you know, whatever. So I think, yeah, I wouldn't say completely like play all of the second tier players, but I mean, like you said, guys like Fred, who normally are on the bench, and they're playing great now. And he's become like a really good role player. And Matic comes in and does what he needs to when he's called upon. And I don't know, I'm pretty confident in the team all around, except for if we got to play City for like a tied on points, you know, final Aguero Sunday, something like that again. And I don't know if I can go through that.
It might come to that. It might come down to that. Gerald, what do you think about Gerald, what do you think about Man United's chances?
Yeah, do you know what? I've always said that Ollie's not the guy. I still feel like he's not the guy for Man United. However, you know, I can't fault the man. He's been doing really well with you know, United. Again, the Liverpool game, clearly it shows that he's focusing more on the league, just for the fact that he dropped Bruno for that game. You know, like Sawyer said as well, United, you need to be going for the league, FA Cup and League Cups. They're little cups for you guys, you know. United's a huge club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You guys got to be winning league titles. So, yeah, I'm excited for United, to be fair. I like the look of Rashford on and off the pitch. He's doing great work.
Yeah.
Who else? Greenwood, I think, again, he got a lot of stick, but that goal that he scored against Liverpool, he took it so well. First touch and finished it off with a right foot. That was like a veteran scoring a goal.
The first two goals were Greenwood to Rashford, or Rashford to Greenwood, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Both control and
incredible goals. Even, do you know what? Luke Shaw has been playing amazing. I'm not a big fan of him, but again, he's been doing really well. I just think the only reason why I'd say if you guys didn't win the league is because of your defensive partnership. I think that's a mess in terms of you don't know whether you're playing Lindelof or Maguire or Bailly, and one of the two will make a mistake. Do you know what I mean? So it's yeah.
I think I was gonna say I think we're a different type of team. I feel like I've been giving him shit sometimes. Maguire is getting better every week. Sure, definitely. There's people complaining about Wan-Bissaka not going forward, but he's doing a great job defensively. And I think he's going more forward more than people are giving him credit for. I feel like in the middle of the park, when teams pressure us, we have midfielders who can hold the ball. Pogba, I don't have to say anything about Pogba. Speaks for himself. Amazing. But I think people are not giving McTominay credit. Like, I don't worry when he starts or if they bring him off the bench, and that's great to feel comfortable with a player like that. I think Fred is everything. I call him air because he's everywhere when he's on the field. It's like he'll take them. You're like, how did he take the ball from that guy when he was just down there? And Cavani is our best tackler.
Yeah, man.
It's like how is your forward? Your fucking it's like if you're a defender, he treats you like he's the defender and you're the forward. He's gonna come get that shit from you. And then we just got these attacking options. And Marshall hasn't even fired off yet.
Yeah.
Martin, you've been standing me like Martin sent me this thing where it showed like all the teams that the top teams in the top six that Man U has not beaten, and then it had Spurs beating us. But what he didn't send me is the thing where we're at the top of the table. So, Martin, what do you think of Man U's chances? Go ahead.
Very good chances. But I'm gonna say something first. You mentioned that you don't have to play all the best players all the time, and I'm at the game where the Clippers are not playing two best players against the Hawks, and it's sometimes you have to pick those games. But so probably the FA Cup or League Cup, I agree. One of those cups you have a chance to win the title. You might sacrifice one of them eventually down the road. Second thing. Well, we had a conversation a couple of days ago. I'm very impressed with United, getting all those results. But to be quite honest with you, right now I see one team kind of being the favorites, which is City. the way they play, they really play very, very, very well. Oh, Dominic Wilkins just walked by. Very nice.
Tell him I said what's up.
Yeah. Because there's nobody here. It's like the general area, but they don't allow people here. So okay. it's kind of like a ghost town a little bit. And the way City are playing, they're actually not conceding goals. They have clean sheets in almost every game. So that's pretty impressive, because that was something they struggled with last season, and with Liverpool conceding so many goals and losing points. It could be the Manchester affair at the end of the day, and I see the City's experience. I would take it still ahead of the United. I think City are my favorites right now.
Yeah, they've been chased down before, and they've had to chase a team before, so they have experience in that. But then, will Man U be like, we're hungry? We never won it before, so it might be hunger versus experience. But Man City has enough hunger to pull it off too. So
and they figured it out defensively. Finally, they did figure it out.
They bought 20 defenders, of course.
Yeah, yes, Cancelo are playing very, very well. They're compact. They don't take that many chances offensively. It's only with set pieces. I think Gundogan is absolute revelation. He plays maybe even better than he played for Borussia Dortmund at the peak of his career. He was a kind of a lost cause. I remember when he came to Los Angeles for a few months after surgery, and he was actually spending a lot of time at LA Galaxy facilities and trying to get back to form. It took 2-3 years for him to get back to form. But the last 2 months, he's amazing. He's one of the best players in the league. Phenomenal.
Let me throw another team out there, Martin. I want you to answer first, because I have a feeling you're going to get arrested any minute. What do you think about, like, West Ham is 4th? Mm-hmm. What do you think about? We know they're not going to stay there, but are they going to stay there? Who knows? It's a crazy year.
I mean, credit to David Moyes. He was so maligned for not even a season of Man U experience. He was so maligned. And after that, of course, things didn't work out in his favor. But he's not a bad coach. He had really good time at Everton, where he was really successful there. So I think this sort of an old school approach he brought works with West Ham. It doesn't work with West Brom and Sam Allardyce, but it works with David Moyes.
I think West Ham are attacking more than West Brom. What do you think of West Brom, Neil?
West Brom or West Ham?
West Ham, my fault.
What you can think? West Brom was 3-0 up against Chelsea at the beginning of the season.
Mm. Wow.
we did an entire segment on Kepa.
You missed the Kepa segment, bro.
That's the Kepa segment.
There'll be another one next week.
But speaking of West Ham, Frank Lampard's last win. Last Premier League win. Oh no, actually we did beat Fulham. Damn, we got a few wins before he got out here. Surprisingly. But no, I think West Ham, they've got a good set of players in that team. And there's not many superstars, but they have like just about enough competent players all over the pitch. So it's not like players like concentrated on one area. And David Moyes, again, a manager with enormous experience, kind of the opposite of what we are speaking of with folks like Lampard. He knows that. I don't know how long they can sustain this form, but they make themselves very compact and hard to beat. So even though if they're not getting a lot of wins along the way, their defense and the way their defensive midfield works, it's very hard to get goals against these guys. So I wouldn't be surprised. And the kind of season we are in, where everybody's more or less, up one week, down the other week, a lot of teams are going to be splitting points. So
that's why I think City is so dangerous, because they're extremely consistent in the last 2 months. They're like a machine. They're like the Manchester City from 3 years ago, the way they play right now. People kind of slept on them a little bit because they had a rough start to the season, but they're not up and down. They're up and up. They're playing better.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. Like even if Manchester United keeps being around the top of the table, I don't see a scenario where United like starts running away with it. But with City, that can happen.
All right.
Yeah.
It's just it's nice. It's nice to be almost in February and Liverpool's not 18 points ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
maybe we should talk about that. Liverpool right now is outside the top 4.
And just one last thing about West Ham, we can actually get to that too, because I think Liverpool's a lot different than they have been, even though most of their players are the same. The thing with West Ham is like the whole Leicester City story when they won the Prem, and it was crazy because like the story behind where Vardy was and where he was playing and Marius and how they brought in Morgan. For me, that's always been West Ham. And like West Ham's always had like a solid goalkeeper, like a guy like Noble in the midfield who's like been there for his whole life. Guys like that were at Leicester. So if West Ham could get a big center back and they could get a good forward and get a center mid, they could be a team that's in 4th place all year long. But I think right now it's just kind of like a fluke of like how Liverpool's been playing and Chelsea and Arsenal are below, where normally teams like Arsenal and Chelsea would be in 4th or 3rd or 5th place.
What if West Ham Leicester the Premier League? Would more?
Nah.
No.
But I have to tell this. I have to give it to Gerald that Arsenal is actually one of the better teams in the last couple of weeks. So they figured out a lot of things.
Martin, hold on. Yeah. I want to get to that. So Gerald's on. He's an Arsenal guy, and Martin's on. He's a Tottenham guy.
Yeah,
so let me get to the question. Yeah, you have no idea what's going on. He's like, what are you responding to? So Arsenal just won today, 3-1. Was it 3-1?
3-1
against who was it? Southampton. You've been on a good run. So I want to talk about their good form in the Premier League, but also Arteta's choice to not put the strongest team against Southampton again earlier this week in the FA Cup. Like, what's the rationale behind that? Based on the fact that he's not going to win the title.
That was a terrible game to watch.
Yeah, I think again it goes down to what we spoke earlier on in terms of we have to make sacrifices. Yes, in a way where we can win the FA Cup again, but for us it's about trying to get into that European position. I know we're not going to get top 4. But again, it's for us, it's trying to get as high as we can up that ladder in the league, because really and truly being at 15th is embarrassing for a club like Arsenal. So we always had to make sacrifice, but we can see the difference between our first 11 and our second team. There's a huge gap. We saw it against Southampton in the FA Cup game, but I think that's what more so it was, where we had to rest players for the Premier League. And I think, again, something that Arteta needs to work on is managing. As a coach and a manager, it's 2 different things. He's a good coach. However, managing a team, he's still got a lot of work to do on that side of things. Player managing, that's a whole different ballgame, how you interact with the players, because we've seen in the media where some players aren't happy with the way that he's dealt with things, and, with the likes of Guendouzi and the list goes on, obviously Ozil, etc., and things like that. So I think Ozil leaving now is going to open up the gates where there's going to be a little bit more freedom in the team. And this is why Marius said again earlier on, the youngsters are doing amazing, like Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe's come in, and they're playing with freedom again. So, I think, again, going back to the question, he needed to make some rest for the FA Cup game,
What do you think of the Odegaard thing? You're getting an Odegaard from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Odegaard.
I'm not over the moon. I'm not super excited. He's another player that he needs to prove himself. He's had a good spell when he was at Real Sociedad. He went back to Real Madrid, and he had a decent spell there. But yeah, I'm not looking at him as thinking he's going to make a huge difference to the team. I think he'll add to the team. I think he'll add that creativity to the team, which we've been missing. But again, it's a player that's coming with little expectation to really do anything, to be honest with you. So, I mean, yeah, the potential is there. He's he was one of the biggest, wonder kids in the world at some point. So, yeah, I'm happy to get a creative player, because we've been dying for someone like him to come to the club, actually.
And I want Martin to get in there, but I also want to give Sacco props for scoring today and for creating another goal. He's just like probably the best. I mean, Man U has Greenwood, but I just think Sacco as the best young, most confident, just on it every week type of person like this. The level does not affect his mentality at all. But Martin, this is rare. I think you were going to compliment Arsenal. So while you still might, let's go ahead, talk.
Yeah, I think Saka. The moment they gave the keys to Saka, he made it work. He's absolutely top talent, and I think that was the right decision. Before he was relying too much on the veterans, on guys like Willian, like Aubameyang, and I think that shift to young players, and especially with the guy with 2 names, which I cannot remember, he is also making a huge impact. Exactly, so that was the right decision. I just don't know why he was waiting so long for it. It was clear that he has to do that. So I think if they continue in that fashion, that way, it will be good for Arsenal. It's too late for them to compete for top 4, but I think they're fine. And I think part of the reason why Frank Lampard didn't succeed is that he also fell into that trap that he wasn't sure which direction he wants to go. He didn't pick a clear direction.
All right. Well, it's great that we're all home individually on quarantine and Martin's at an NBA game. It's great.
I think amidst all the noise, I heard Martin admit that Spurs is the 3rd best team in London. I don't know. I think that was what he's trying to say.
What were you going to say, Marius?
I think one thing I wanted to kind of like tie everything we've spoken today back together with goalkeepers and academy and guys on the bench not getting chances. And now Arsenal, look at the boy Martinez, right? So
from Arsenal?
Well, now he's at Villa.
Now at Villa, yeah.
So, I mean, he's not young. He's not an academy product. He's from Argentina, right? And I think he's like 29 maybe or 30.
27 now.
Yeah.
27 only.
Yeah.
Well, still really young. But so he was at Arsenal for what, 5 years, Gerald?
10 years. He was there for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, he came to us when he was 16. Last season he was like 26. I think he just turned 27. So yeah, he's been grinding there for 10 years and he only got his shot last season.
So then my point is made even harder than I could have with the knowledge I had prior to investigation. Like, for goalkeepers too, you come in and you push your way through. He probably played at some Nike Cups in London and he played at FA Cup youth team and like whatever, right? And worked his way through. He's behind Leno on the bench and Leno gets hurt and he makes 2 of the greatest saves I've seen in a long time in that summer lockdown. The rest of the season they played, gets a contract, goes to Villa. And you know what? I don't know him personally, but I would think maybe it was his dream to like play first team football for Arsenal. Yeah. But as soon as Villa gave him that contract, he's not going to say no to guaranteed money and no to a number 1 position in a team in the same division, in the same league. You know, it's just like, who was behind that? That wasn't like, who was the guy in the front office that was not letting him get minutes? Why did they go to Germany to get Leno? Why didn't they just play Martinez, who was clearly ready for the moment at 26 or 25 or whatever age?
Teams do that all the time. It's like we're trying to buy Sancho, but this is what everybody, all the United things are like, we got to buy another defender. And I keep like, don't we got Tuan Sabi?
He's a
looks
beast.
Good. Like, what? He looks good. And then there's this other guy's name, like Maherj or something like that. I've heard, like, why are all the United fans like, buy? And every team is like, buy. Like, it's like, Tuan Sabi looks so competent when he's on the ball. And
he played a Champions League game, I think, or something.
Back at
the end of the year.
He's got, you know, it's like, why grab somebody from another league for millions of dollars and pounds or euros, and we got to try the kid first, you know? What do you guys think of Ibra and Lukaku getting into it? Inter Milan versus AC Milan. I'm an AC Milan fan myself, so either way, I was gonna root for Ibra in a fight against Lukaku. Plus, they're the same height, but he's a black belt, and I think he could whoop Lukaku.
Like Ibra, right? We all know the jokes. We all know the memes. Like I'm Zlatan or whatever. Like you've seen his documentary. You know the goals he's scored for his international, like for Sweden. Like, bro, like he's played for every big club in the world. He played for LA Galaxy. He banged a goal a game for 2 seasons. He played at Man United. He played at Barca. He played at Milan. He's played at PSG. He's played everywhere. So like Lukaku's really a small fish in the talks with Ibra. But if you're just talking like throwing hands, like you said, I'm not going to go probably fight either of them. But I'd rather fight Lukaku.
I know it's so weird when you say you look at those two guys and you show somebody a picture and you say, I'd rather fight the black guy. Like that. And if they don't know them, they're like, you rather fight that huge ass dude? Yeah, trust me. I'd rather get beat up by that guy than the guy with the ponytail.
Because Zlatan's gonna go on and on and on about beating your ass for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's not just that day that you're gonna suffer.
Well, a lot of words were thrown, like so let me just see if I can find these. Lee sent these to me, and you guys can talk about it until I find the stuff that Lee sent me.
I think what I got was...
You got to respect Lukaku. You got to respect Lukaku for standing up, though. I'm not too sure what the context.
Yeah, for sure.
What the argument is, but you got to definitely give it to Lukaku for standing up and saying...
He had the last laugh. Zlatan got sent off, and Lukaku scored the winning penalty.
I just think like guys in that like when you're in the game, maybe you go into the game and you're knowing like, all right, we're playing Zlatan today. Like, some of the younger guys like my age who don't have a resume like Lukaku or came from Man United, you probably like avoid confrontation with Zlatan, right? Or if he fouls me, I'm not gonna like get in his face, spit, talk shit, or say anything. But like, if you are Lukaku and you are kind of a baller a little bit,
why not?
If something happens, like, you're the biggest guy in the team, arguably the best guy in the team for what you produce, like, you got to do it, right? So,
I mean, it's for Lukaku, who's had a spotty career and wasn't at his best at Man United. And these are two ex-Man United 6-foot forwards going at it on opposite teams in the Italian league. But when Zlatan Ibrahimovic's call is saying, go do your voodoo shit, you little donkey. And he's commenting on your lack of control of the ball. At least you're at the peak of your career at scoring goals on a consistent level in a great league where you could take this verbal hit and kind of disagree with it. Like before, like Lukaku's control and touch has definitely gotten better than it was before. So, he has the right to stand up for himself. And then I think Lukaku ended the argument with like, fuck you and your wife. And
and then
and then what else was said?
I think Zlatan mentioned his mother and Lukaku's mother, that is.
People chat all the time in the pitch. It's just like those are two magnitude level guys, like that when they meet up and it's in a derby, it's in Milan versus Milan. It's like
I didn't know that. I didn't realize he said go do your voodoo shit. I heard that as go do your music shit, you fucking donkey. Because he's producing music now, right? Lukaku.
Yeah. So maybe that's what he said. And he's like, you donkey, that means you have you can't even play football and you're trying to do music.
I mean, that's funny because like, your job is to play football and you got these guys making rap videos. That's fine. Rap after your career. Or if you can balance it, if he can have a good touch and score goals and then rap in the off the field. But like, of course, the first guy who's going to call you out for that is Zlatan. If you get in his face, so he's going to make you feel embarrassed.
Zlatan is basically being old school and like, go do your music shit. It's like, I'm a fucking football player. This is all I focus on. You young fucking stupid players who have all these outside focuses and not working at your game and seizing this opportunity. This is almost like as fatherly as we've ever seen Zlatan. As get off my lawn as Zlatan.
Yeah. Has some swag. He's still with some swagger too.
Yeah, with swag,
It must be so tough though. Like imagine you're Lukaku in that situation. What can you throw back at this guy that can stick?
Fuck you and your wife.
Fuck you and your wife. But that's so schoolboy, right? Like that's kindergarten shit.
That's all you got though.
But you can probably say
anything.
Yeah, you can probably say like, hey, where's the Champions League? Because Zlatan famously has been to every big club, who's won everything. But then he himself, when he was there, never won anything.
Right.
Like he left it. Yeah.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. Just tomorrow, I just want to talk real quick. Tomorrow's games, Chelsea versus Wolves. Tuchel's first game was.
Oh, is it really?
Is he going to be on a touchline, Jeff?
Yep, he's on the touchline. Okay.
He took training.
Martin, what do you think?
Well, I think I'm not sold on Tuchel. I think he's.
What do the Atlanta Hawks think?
Atlanta Hawks are up 3 right now.
All right.
They're attacking, but at the same time, I don't wanna bum everybody out, but people are kind of sad a little bit because. Like one of the most famous sport writers here, who was even covering the team, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, died from COVID today.
Oh, wow.
So the news just spread like an hour ago. So people are very, very, very sad because he was like very, very liked by everybody. So rest in peace, Sekou Smith. I just wanted to say that.
All right.
But the second thing about the game, I think Chelsea has to start playing better because, as I said before on their podcast, Roman Abramovich is the one guy who absolutely has zero patience. So he wouldn't hesitate. There was this guy, Jesus Gil, in Atletico Madrid at 30 years ago, who was changing managers, who was known for that. And Roman Abramovich is kind of that guy in European football right now. So I think he will not hesitate to make another change if it doesn't work out. So Tuchel has to start having results quickly.
And Neil, being a Chelsea fan, what's tomorrow going to be like?
Well, I'm interested to see like what kind of, because with every new match you might have some changes in formation, in lineup. They put out some videos of training. He took training today, and only at Chelsea you'll have the manager actually take training before a single quote of his has even come out as the official manager. There hasn't been an unveiling yet. But I'm looking forward to see like what kind of looks like he might favor, because I saw Marcos Alonso involved heavily in the training, almost playing as like next to Timo Werner, like finishing goals. So I'm interested to see how it goes. And I think we slightly touched upon the fact that there were some politics and stuff. So all the reports that came out within the last couple of hours, actually. There have been some tweets that Tammy Abraham. So the insinuation was that Rudiger is one of the guys who kind of dug Lampard's grave, and he was one of those senior players who was beefing with some of the younger players. But Tammy Abraham came out with a tweet saying, hearing a lot of nonsense about Rudiger, Tony Rudiger, he's a big bro.
Oh, okay.
Azpilicueta kind of echoed it. Drogba got in saying, just stay. The media is going to throw a lot of things into the mix. Just stay together, stay united, which I think is a bigger issue. Like you can deal with a manager being gone, but if it's a broken squad, that's like I don't think that gets fixed. So in a way, that's good to see. Maybe we'll get a reaction out of some of these guys, but I had a feeling like even when sometime in the through the season we weren't getting the results, our performances were still good. I think since the Arsenal game, that hasn't been the case. The performances have kind of like taken a dive. So that needs to change more than anything else.
All right. Marius, what do you think our chances against Sheffield United tomorrow?
Dude, it's one of those games, and I say this like it's one of those games where it could be like 2-2 and we barely get a draw. Like, I don't know. I mean, we should win 4-0.
That made me sad for some reason.
You know what,
I think you'll be all right, man.
No, Ian, I'm just saying, man, like, that's how I've been the last
It made me sad because it's possible. Like, this is the banana peel game.
Nah, man.
The last few years like, even last season, there were games like we played them. It's like if City plays them, they beat them 7-0. But if we play them, we get scored on first and we win 3-1, or like it's just.
You know what? To be honest, Marius, I won't feel comfortable tomorrow until Sheffield scores first, and then after that, I'll be like, yes, we're gonna win this game.
We'll win 4-1, but they'll score first.
Yeah. So I need Sheffield score early to wake us up early, to give us more time to like just run an assault on goals. And this is the last question. It's for Martin and Gerald. Liverpool versus Tottenham on Thursday.
Wow.
Gerald, what's the desired result for you on this
draw.
game?
I'll take a draw. I'll be happy with a draw, to be fair. But yeah, I think. Do you know what? I think Tottenham at the moment have got a good chance to. Liverpool's not playing the best. I think this is a good time to play against Liverpool. However, it could also be a game where Liverpool have had enough and just, turn Tottenham over. But no, I think Liverpool's defense at the moment is not the best, and I think the likes of Son and Harry Kane can really cause some damage. So, yeah, I think Tottenham can definitely can win
and
this. And Ndombele's been playing like he's Ronaldinho. So yeah.
Jesus.
I like how we exchanged. I like how we exchanged kind words about each other teams. The Arsenal and Tottenham.
Kind of disappointed in you too.
That's good. I like it. It's a good fair play.
For sure.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I think Liverpool is not actually playing that bad, as the results show. I think against Burnley they were extremely unlucky, and there are a couple of other games that they were extremely unlucky. I think there is a problem within the team. It's clear that between Salah and Mane that there's no body language at all. I think they will have to split after the season, and probably Mbappe is what they try to get for one of them. I think Salah is more likely to go because he's kind of, I would say, more a guy who could create problem instead of Mane, who is like more like a hardworking, keep to yourself type of a guy, where Salah is more like a flamboyant type. I think so. So I think that the problem is more on the Salah side. And Firmino stopped scoring. He's very inconsistent, although he actually scored the winning goal against us in the first game. So hopefully they'll continue their problems up front, because that's really hurting them. That's the biggest difference between this season and the previous season, that this compact three-man offense doesn't work well together as it did in the past. And if that's the case, then we have a chance to beat them, because but let's not forget, they're still a very good team, and they might be in a little bit of crisis, but the potential is there. That hasn't changed. They had some unlucky results, so I'm careful. If we beat them, fantastic. If we get a draw, it's not the end of the world. If we lose, that's bad for sure.
So you'll take the draw. All right, that makes sense.
I'm not saying I'll take the draw, but I won't be super disappointed. But I still hope we will win.
I think Mourinho at least wants a point. Mm-hmm. And if I know Mourinho, he's like, we're not gonna lose. We want the point. So if I see 3 CDMs tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised.
I just want to say one quick thing to you, Martin. You said earlier when you were speaking about the Clippers playing the Hawks that the 2 best players in the NBA are playing against the Hawks tonight. You are very wrong about that. So I'll just leave it there.
No. The 2 best players of the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, are not playing. The 2 best players.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Soccer podcast.
No. The 2 best players on the Clippers are benched today. I mean, there's probably no play.
Hard time.
So yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. That
of course you will.
Was mentioned. I don't know if it was mentioned. I don't know if it was mentioned on the podcast that another former Man U legend became a coach in MLS. Phil Neville in Miami.
Yeah.
You have
that's awesome.
In Cincinnati, and now you have Phil Neville in Miami.
And that's what I was telling you, Martin. Just turn your sound off. Just mute yourself. That's what I was telling Martin to say. Only the class of '92 is eternal. They don't fuck around. Like, they are like this.
They stick together, don't they?
They stick together. Yeah. They already had a non-league team in British football that they brought up.
Yeah, League Two now.
To League Two, and it's like Scholes and Neville and Beckham, and then now Beckham has a team in the MLS, and he brings in a Neville brother to coach, and it's like you'd never get that with Spurs, but that's just beautiful, and I appreciate that. Martin heard that anyway. But listen, guys, this has been a dope, fun one with some good, informative, like energetic conversation. Gerald, God bless you. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you, man.
Marius, baby, thanks for coming through, man. Speaking it up. Martin, just at the fucking game. Don't just put the doctor mask on. Some dude lurking behind him trying to kill him. There's people dodging the popcorn guy. Thanks for coming through. Sawyer's lawyer. Thanks for coming out of mourning to speak to us. I really invited you on the podcast as a proof of life video, because I know I knew you was taking the Lampard firing really rough. I want to thank our producer, Aaron Brungard, for getting this all together. This is the Soccer Comic Rant. Like and subscribe, and we'll see who's. This is what, game week 20 and 19 at the same time.
17.
This is the second half of the.
I know, right? It's funny.
I mean, the second half of the season. The second half of the season begins now.
Yeah, let the second half of the season begin. And thanks for coming through, guys. All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Cool.